Wagwan people, welcome to the Caribbean Vegan Foodie. I am Cam Campbell and today we're going down to Jamaica. Yes, we're making Jamaican stew peas. Yes, vegan of course. And a little secret, Jamaicans, we call beans peas. So this stew actually contains beans, not peas. But yes, it's still stew peas. But before we get into the video, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend and tell another friend too. Let's go!
Can you feel the vibe? Give me that beat.
So our first ingredient is red kidney beans. In Jamaica, we call beans peas. But even though it is called stew peas, beans are what is used in this recipe, not peas. I'm using 2 cups of dry red kidney beans that I soak overnight and will be pressuring in my pressure cooker for about 30 minutes with some garlic. You could also use an instapot or just boil it in a regular pot for about an hour until they're tender. But if you're in a hurry, you want something quicker, you can always use canned beans, but that nice dark color that fresh bean gives, you won't get that same color. So here are the other ingredients that you're going to need for this recipe. So before we start making the stew, I'm going to make the spinners. So spinners is a key ingredient in our stew peas. It helps to make the dish more hearty and filling and thicken up the stew. I don't think there's any Jamaican stew peas without spinners. So what I'm using to make these spinners are some gluten-free flour because I'm celiac, so I eat gluten-free. But you can use regular flour if regular flour don't affect you. So I'm just using some flour and some water with a little salt, combining them together until I form a nice little dough. And we're going to set that aside and move on to starting our stew. Starting on our stew, we're going to heat up some coconut oil or some water. Then we're going to add our onion and saute until they are soft. After our onions are nice and soft, we're going to add in our garlic and our bell pepper that we chopped small and our crushed pimento berry. I'm also adding some scotch bonnet pepper, but you can always replace this with some black pepper or some cayenne pepper or your favorite pepper, or just omit it from the recipe altogether. So Jamaican stew peas traditionally contain 2 major animal meat sources. Some folks, they like to mix it up and use both meat, and some folks will just use one. And I would rather not mention what those meats are, but enough waffling. I am using mushroom. Yes, oyster mushroom that are nice and meaty and make a great substitute in this dish. Any Jamaican meat eater will enjoy this. I am adding the mushroom and I'm going to saute them for a bit, and then we're going to add our beans. So I'm using the pressure cooked bean that is about 4 cups along with 1.5 cup of the liquid from the beans. But if you're using canned beans, remember to rinse the bean before using them and add some regular water or some veggie broth. Add your coconut milk, mix that all in, and remember to check your seasoning taste and add salt if need be. So we're going to mix that all in, and then we're going to add in our scallion, aka our green onion or spring onion. And then we're going to add in our thyme, and we're going to let that simmer for a bit, maybe about 5 minutes before we have to add our spinners. Look at that. It's all coming together. It's nice and bubbly. And now it's time for us to add in our spinners. At this point, you can let it just reduce and skip the spinner altogether. But you know, a key ingredient in any good stew peas from down in Jamaica are the spinners. So what we're going to do is we're going to take pieces of our dough that we already mixed earlier, and then we're going to roll it between our palms, and we're going to drop them in the stew. So you're going to continuously roll them in between your hands until all your dough is finished, and then we're gonna let the stew simmer down until it get nice and thick. And the thickness of the stew depends on how you like it, your personal preference. But just a little heads up, Jamaicans like their stew nice and thick, because after all, in a soup, so the longer your stew simmer on medium heat, it will get thicker and thicker. And once it gets to the right amount of thickness that you like, you can turn it off and serve it with some rice. Traditionally, it is eaten with white rice, but I don't really cook white rice, so I use brown rice instead. Amazing, delicious. And I serve it also with some raw cabbage and carrots and bell pepper chopped up, and it was amazing. Remind me of home, took me back to home, to Jamaica, and having nice stew peas. And normally when I have stew peas in Jamaica, I never had it with meat, because the meat that are normally cooked with stew peas my family also don't eat. So I've never had it with actual meat in it, so I only know the vegetarian version of our stew peas. And there you have it. Thank you all for stopping by the Caribbean Vegan Foodie. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell another friend too. Until next time, what good?